news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And no rest for the weary when it comes to the plow drivers. They were out in full force once again this morning.
Yes, and even along with that, too, the snow is coming down at a good enough rate where you might encounter some snow-covered roads still.
Yeah.
In fact, we look outside, a live view at the Yorkville Battery live radar. Although it doesn't seem like much on the radar scans. We were looking at it yesterday with the data coming in, and it just seemed to us that the radar scans, the models, everything would just undersell the impacts this would have. And sure enough, the snowfall is, at least came down at a pretty good rate overnight last night, and it's still coming down pretty good as it's passing through Syracuse and heading its way into the Mohawk Valley over the next few hours. As you can see here, roads are snow covered in pretty much every area here in Utica, Herkimer, Sangerfield. Maybe a bit less up in Barneveld, where that lake effect isn't as intense. But as you can see here, there are multiple accidents, especially as you head out to the west towards Syracuse. As expected, the roads in Utica and westbound are impacted a whole lot more than, for example, as you head down into the Mohawk Valley, which roadways will continue to improve. But nonetheless, just be prepared to spend some extra time getting to where you need to go this morning based off of that snowfall. Wind chills early today, still hovering in the single digits. No major changes here. And over the next 12 hours, our temperatures climb on paper into the upper teens. But of course, as you were mentioning earlier yesterday, those wind chills will remain still very cold for the next several days. An Arctic blast arrives later this week into Friday, and then we're of course tracking what social media has been already buzzing about, another coastal storm. We're thinking it's going to miss us, but we'll have the details on that coming up shortly. Gary.
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Today is...
Welcome back. Time now is 5:13, and here's a look at what you can expect heading out the door this morning and your forecast in a minute. And needless to say, this morning we've got some snow-covered roadways. A live look at downtown Utica along Oriskany Street, Oriskany Boulevard, basically every direction you look. Downtown Utica has some snow-covered roads, and it's mainly due to the snowfall rates right now, which is really impacting the amount of accumulation. It's 9 degrees officially at Griffiths and Rome, so it's still a very cold start. And again, as I'll show here, the travel impacts will be expected this morning from that lake effect snow. Cold weather still persists, and as I mentioned, I'll be doing a quick look at that weekend snowstorm that everyone's talking about. I feel like we get through one, and sure enough, someone's bringing up something else, and I'll talk about what we're thinking regarding that. But you can see here, roadways still snow covered in a lot of spots, so budget some extra time getting to where you need to go this morning. That lake effect that's causing it is going to sweep its way north this afternoon, and then the travel impacts themselves a lot less as you head into the evening, aside for those of you that are heading up into the Tug Hill Plateau. But nonetheless, right now, aside from the snowfall, believe it or not, there is actually a flood warning in effect for this area right here. Includes the town of Newport, right along the West Canada Creek, and right along the Route 28 area right there. And Gary, you have more on that, right?
That's for sure, Eric. We are staying on that story of the flood warning for the ice jam along the West Canada Creek.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Today we are starting out with some light lake effect snowfall. Now, that light might be deceiving because although it's not coming down heavy, it's enough to coat a lot of roadways. Now look at the radar and satellite here, and we can see the multi-lake response coming off of both Lake Superior, Lake Huron, and eventually Lake Ontario here, enough to produce this said lake effect here across portions of central New York. And we can see that snow band shifting north It is expected to weaken, but nonetheless, even though it is weakening, it is still providing some impacts regarding some of that snowfall. And as you can see here, there are a lot. And in fact, wow, as I'm just saying this, 3 more stalled vehicles have been reported, mainly as you head up north. I'm going to zoom in here on this map because, again, this is all just breaking to me as well. Let's zoom in to where the roads are at least the most difficult to drive on. There's a crash on the thruway, and there's a bunch of stalled vehicles on Route 13, Route 68, Route 46. So again, if you're heading out this morning, budget extra time, take your time, you'll get there in one piece. I think with the road conditions this morning, if you drive anywhere higher than what the speed might want, or at least why the snow might want you to believe, it's going to be very difficult, in fact, dangerous to drive. So this morning, we have that snowfall shifting its way north. It's going to weaken, and the travel impacts this evening a whole lot less. There's not as much lake effect and only a few on and off light flurries. That snow band overnight will sweep back south again early Thursday morning. This will cause, yet again, some more travel impacts. And I was mentioning with some of our colleagues here that I feel like this is Mother Nature playing some games with us. The snow band is arriving just in time for the morning commutes for both days. So interesting sight here. But regardless, that snowfall will not be as intense until we see that Arctic front move in Thursday evening. That's going to allow those winds to pick up and produce a very narrow but potentially intense snow band south of Utica. Now, the latest data has it shifting a bit more south, maybe more south of New Hartford, heading toward Paris Hill and the hills of Madison County. But it will be shifting its way farther south, quieting down Friday, but Friday still looking very cold. And still, I'm very hesitant to show some of these model numbers here because, again, I do think they're underestimating a lot of spots here. But I do think, generally speaking, around 2 to 4 inches of snowfall expected from that snow band tonight into early tomorrow morning, especially in Oneida County, shifting south, and maybe in a brief area, 4 to 7 inches in a very narrow zone south of Utica as well. So stay tuned for updates on that. In the meantime, there are a lot of rumblings of a winter storm this weekend, and here's why we don't share stuff like this all the time, because a lot of times models put out a lot of fantasy storms here. You can see, of course, some of those that heavier snow staying out to sea. We'll, of course, keep a close eye on it. We never discount stuff like this, but we always like holding off on sharing data like that, because a lot of times, as I mentioned, models like to make a lot of storms up here and there. So for now, the weekend's looking pretty quiet. Sunny, cold, very cold, I should say, overnights, with those overnight lows in the negative double digits. And on Monday, Punxsutawney Phil will be figuring if he sees a shadow or not. So we'll see.
It's been one long winter already. Eric, thanks. Well, Valentine's Day is, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. If you are getting ready to head out the door or send the kids off to the bus stop, Eric, once again, a very brutal morning out there, and even some snow.
Yeah, temperature's still very cold, and yes, we have some lake effect influencing our morning today. Look at the Yorkville Battery live radar here. A couple areas, schools already going, at least on some delays this morning due to this snowfall, which again, on radar, doesn't really appear like it's doing much. But this is one of our thoughts going into yesterday, is that while the lake effect might not even look like a lot, it's going to be enough to cause some travel impacts. And you can see that snow band shifting its way north into the Mohawk Valley early this morning. You can see a look at the roadways today. A lot of snow-covered roads across parts of the Mohawk Valley, and especially east or westbound from Utica out to Syracuse. A lot of stalled vehicles reported, especially on side roads. That's the thing here. You got to wait a little bit of time before some of those side roads eventually get plowed here, because again, the snow is coming down at a really good rate, and the main roads have to get done first. But you can see here some slowdowns pretty much in the surrounding areas in Oneida and Onondaga counties. Temperatures this morning, at least wind chills in the low teens to single digits, officially 10 with that wind chill in Rome right now. In fact, that wind chill of 10 is the warmest in upstate New York right now, so I guess we'll take the crown here early today. But nonetheless, our temperatures on paper in the mid-teens this afternoon, wind chills still remaining in the single digits. We have a look at that additional snowfall this afternoon, some potential impacts to travel again tomorrow morning, as well as all the rumblings of another nor'easter this weekend. We'll explain what our thoughts are on that straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz met with Borders,
where we track storms.
Welcome back to Sunrise here on this Wednesday. Again, if you're just tuning in right now, we are tracking some lake effect, which on the radar here might not look like a lot, but it is still producing some decent snowfall rates, enough to cause some tricky travel in a lot of spots, especially heading south of Utica and especially west of Utica, out towards Syracuse, where that lake effect band is still pretty significant. But again, a lot of that not really showing up on the radar. We had a thought this would happen yesterday, and sure enough, it is panning out in that way. I think a lot of the lake effect this year, the models have been underestimating the impacts of it, which is interesting. I hope this is something that might get worked on in terms of the data and everything like that in the near future. But regardless, let's talk some more snowfall, and this time an amazing photo sent here to us of sunshine and snow. Now, really cool name. Of course, you can email me, correct me if I pronounce it wrong. I believe that's Phaedra. But amazing name right there. But also an amazing shot here of Racket Lake in the view of the snowfall and the sun out in the distance. You get that when you have some thin layers of clouds mixed in with that snowfall. Nonetheless, if you have a photo like this you'd like to share with us, WKTV.com/weather/pics. Your photo every morning brought to you by GPO Federal Credit Union. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Buffalo Bills fans didn't have to wait long.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. If there's anything this winter is telling us, it's that either we're going to get hit with some significant snowfall or just some hit or miss lighter snowfall that will just inevitably add up. An inch or two here and there. Eventually, we're still 35 or so inches above average. We look at the radar and satellite here. We can see, of course, this lake effect persisting. And what the data was telling us yesterday was that this would be nothing but a few flurries. And looking at the pattern in the multi-lake setup here, we were saying in our group chats yesterday that this would be something probably a little bit more impactful. And sure enough, that's been the case so far. This is produced, thank you for a report sent in by Kirkland moments ago, of 5 inches just outside of Kirkland there. So especially in the southern valleys here, just along the hills south of the Mohawk Valley, there is some significant snowfall. And there's still more falling right now, despite what it looks like, which is a lot of the heaviest snow ending. We still have some persisting snowfall that'll cause some impacts. And you can see right here, there are a lot of impacts regarding roadways, especially in Oneida County, western Oneida County. We have 3 stalled vehicles and 2 crashes, one along the thruway there. So just budget extra time. If you're heading out this morning, if you need to go out, you need to spend some extra time with some slower speeds. I think that's the main key here. So early today, that lake effect will sweep its way north. It'll end. We will have some lighter snow on and off this afternoon, especially in some of the hills north of the Mohawk Valley, but I think the impacts will not be that high. Then that snow band will sweep south again, and this is what we mean by we think Mother Nature playing a few games with us, because this is just in time for the morning commute tomorrow. I'm thinking a similar story in terms of travel impacts we're seeing today for tomorrow as well in the early morning hours. That snow band is going to shift its way through the area, and then as the winds pick up following an Arctic front, there could be a very narrow band of intense snow right here just south of the Mohawk Valley. The latest trends have it pushing a bit farther south, but nonetheless, those impacts are still there. Then the wind chills Friday morning will be in the negative double digits, so plan accordingly with some cold weather on the way. Models here still outputting very low numbers. I'm thinking a very narrow corridor here. We'll see dark blue 4 to 7 inch range in the hills of Madison County and southern Oneida County, with some higher totals, of course, out west. But of course, the elephant in the room here, for some of you who are on social media and stuff, you've probably have seen some meteorologists maybe outside of our area, or just anyone who's been sharing weather maps showing about the possibility of a weekend storm. Right now, it appears to be a non-factor. That's why we kind of hold off on showing these maps here, because we don't want to stir you guys up with something and then have it fade away like it usually does a lot of these systems here. So for the meantime, in fact, this weekend, quite the opposite. It's going to be cold and sunny for the time being. And then, of course, on Monday, Punxsutawney Phil will be emerging to potentially see his shadow or not and determine whether we're going to get some springtime or 6 more weeks of winter. So
the way things are going?
Yeah, it'd be hard shock to see us not get more winter.
We're going to have a lot more winter. Eric, thanks. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office held its first coffee
with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
Beautiful sight behind us. A lot of snow coming down this morning.
Yeah, snow coming down pretty good. The temperature's still very cold. We're still in winter, Gary. No sign of an early spring just yet. Maybe Punxsutawney Phil might make a case for that next week.
I doubt it, though.
Yeah, I don't know about that. If we look at downtown, or at least the radar right now, and yeah, I'm still thinking that he might be seeing a shadow. We look at the radar, we have some light snowfall entering sections of New York State right now, and although the radar here is showing a lighter rate, it's still coming down at a pretty good rate in the Mohawk Valley, or especially in the areas in the Utica-Rome region heading westward. We can see the overall evolution of this system brought several inches of snow, mainly in the hills south of the Mohawk Valley, and now, of course, extending into it as well. In the roads this morning, you can see here, still largely snow covered. You're going to want to budget some extra time getting to work today. Plan to leave earlier than usual so you get to work on time, and take it slow, because there are still numerous accidents and stalled vehicles or vehicles off the road here. These are just a couple sent in on our traffic tracker here. But regardless, you can see a lot of yellows and oranges. We got some slowdowns, especially, again, mainly west of Utica. You head into the Mohawk Valley, there might be a few slowdowns here, but the snow is a lot less intense heading, say, closer to Little Falls. Regardless, it's 11 degrees in Rome right now with some snow showers. The warmest spot pretty much in the entire state regarding that wind chill. Second is Saranac Lake. Maybe you had that in your bingo card this morning. But nonetheless, today our highs will be in the upper teens. On paper, wind chills still remaining in the single digits for much of the day today. We are tracking some more impactful lake effect snow tomorrow morning, maybe even tomorrow evening as well. And then that cold sticking around, a coastal storm that apparently everyone's talking about. We'll explain why we're not talking about it, or maybe we will be talking about it. Either way, we'll have the details on that in a few minutes. And Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Today is the 40th.
Welcome back, everybody. Time now is 6:13, and here's a look at what you can expect heading out on the roads this morning in your forecast in a minute. And still early today, temperatures of 11 degrees officially. Feels like 11. The wind's not that strong right now. They will be expected to pick up as we head throughout the day today. But nonetheless, we got some impactful lake effect snow this morning, which, again, impacting travel across sections of mainly Oneida County and out toward Onondaga County, basically areas in Utica and westward. Cold weather persists. We're not getting out of this colder pattern anytime soon. It's still remaining frigid, almost downright Arctic, especially toward the end of the week. And speaking of the end of the week, there's some rumblings of a weekend storm. We're going to quell any rumors. We'll have all the latest facts from that here coming up shortly. But either way, you head outside this morning, you're going to want to plan to have a longer commute time. Leave early so you can deal with some of the roads this morning, which are still snow covered in a lot of spots due to the snowfall rate falling, which on the radar doesn't show a whole lot, but we were expecting this to overperform, and sure enough, the lake effect has been behaving as such. So the snow is going to shift its way north this morning. It's going to weaken, maybe a few snow showers in the North Country in the Tug Hill Plateau, but mainly that snowfall will be a bit less impactful this afternoon. But more importantly, despite the snowfall and despite the cold weather, believe it or not, there's actually a flood warning in effect for the areas in Newport, as you can see here, along Route 28, along West Canada Creek. And this was issued at noontime yesterday, and you've got more on that, right, Gary?
Eric, we do. The water is moving along the
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are tracking some lake effect that showed up in full force last night and is still persisting this morning, producing some travel impacts, especially heading west of Utica. We look at the radar and satellite. We have a multi-lake setup here. As we progress throughout the next month or so, we're going to see this lake effect strength decrease as the lakes get colder. In fact, the Georgian Bay is starting to freeze over almost entirely, as well as, of course, heading down toward Lake Erie. But regardless, anytime wintertime, there are still chances for lake effect here due to that cold air aloft. Now we can see this snow band shifting its way north. The impact still in sections of the Mohawk Valley. A lot of this falling below the radar scans here, but we were mentioning yesterday this might overperform, and sure enough, Mother Nature decides that we need more snow in the mornings too. A look at the thruway though, if you're heading westbound towards Syracuse, here's a look at the cameras from Westmoreland all the way to Syracuse themselves, just updated, and as you can see here, they're not too bad. Obviously, head toward Westmoreland, there's some snow-covered roads there, but at least when it comes to the thruway itself, there have been worse scenarios. But you go into some side roads, especially maybe, for example, heading along Route 5 or 8, 12, 12B here, heading up to Route 49. Either way, there are some slowdowns due to that snow accumulation. So if you're heading out this morning, you want to make sure you plan some extra time on your morning commute. So that snow is going to lift its way north this morning, eventually hitting the Tug Hill Plateau this afternoon, and sections of the North Country here hitting maybe some snow showers near Old Forge around 6 p.m. or so. Then that snow band is going to shift its way south for, you guessed it, tomorrow morning's morning commute. I guess this is the way Mother Nature wants us to have snowfall. Either way, that snow is going to wobble a little bit, shift south, an Arctic front moves in, and the winds pick up. Thursday evening, there could be a very narrow but intense snow band south of Utica. It has shifted more to the south with the latest data, but at least for now, we are tracking potentially some spots here, maybe along Paris Hill and sections of Madison County too, picking up 4 to 7 inches in a very narrow corridor here. The models are underperforming this based off of what we saw last couple of days. So we're making sure that you guys are prepared despite what maybe apps or the numbers are telling you, and just going off the sheer fact this lake effect has been pretty strong. But a lot of rumblings on social media, on a lot of wherever you get your weather information from. I'm talking about a winter storm again this weekend, and there's a reason why we don't always show these maps that far out, and here's why. Here's the full transparency. Been looking at this all throughout the week, and so far it's not really that impactful here locally. In fact, we're going to see some sunshine instead for the time being. We'll, of course, closely track it, but a lot of times these models here put out a bunch of fantasy snowstorms here and there. But what's not a fantasy is Punxsutawney Phil's snowfall or winter forecast, which, of course, I'm kidding. But either way, he might or might not see his shadow on Monday. We'll see. Hopefully, if he doesn't see it, there's spring, early spring, right?
Yep.
I always forget which one's which, but
I think we're going to keep going and going and going this winter. Eric, thanks. Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday morning. And if you are getting ready to head out the door, get ready for some more snow. And Eric, it doesn't seem to want to stop.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we're thinking, oh, we might be in the clear, then sure enough, Mother Nature's like, well, we have some more lake effect for you. How about that? But yeah, this morning we have a pretty interesting setup here. So we mentioned yesterday that the model's showing us we're going to get some lake effect, but our thoughts were that it was going to be a bit more, at least impactful than what it was telling us. And sure enough, despite what the radar looks like right now, you see this, and for those of you that watch us, pretty consistently, you see a radar signature like this and thinking maybe not a whole lot of snow falling, but it's a much different story with the actual impacts on the roadways early today. A lot of this is actually falling below the radar scans into the Mohawk Valley. You see a live look at roads this morning. Again, road crews are hard at work today, but when the snowfall rates are at a good enough amount, it doesn't matter how much you're plowing, the snow will just go right back to the same spot. So that's the case this morning. Budget some extra time. I can't stress it enough. There are already multiple reports of accidents, cars off the road. Drive the way the snow is telling you to drive. I mean, a lot of you that have lived up here your whole life, including myself, know you see some certain spots in the roads. You know exactly how fast your car can handle it. And again, my main thing here is I want you guys all to be safe on the roads today. I know some of you have to go to work. A lot of us, including ourselves here, some jobs require you to go in, and on a day like today, you want to make sure you get there safely. So, temperatures this morning, well, at least wind chills, still very cold. We are in the teens right now, wind chills below zero in a lot of spots. Still very cold. The cold weather persists. We have potentially another round of some impactful lake effect again tomorrow morning. Yes, I know. And then we have some signals of a coastal storm this weekend. A lot of everyone's been talking about it. We have the latest data that came in, which I think, as a spoiler alert, I don't think it's really going to impact us that much. But we'll show you the data and all that coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz met with board.
Channel 2 is brought to you by Holland Farms Bakery and Deli. This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Wednesday morning. For those of you just tuning in early today, we are tracking some lake effect, which you can see here on the radar. It doesn't look that impressive, but don't let that deceive you. The snow is coming down at a pretty good rate here across parts of Oneida County, and especially heading out to Madison County and Onondaga County. Anywhere west of Utica, we've got some very slick roadways, so make sure you budget plenty of extra time getting to work early today. While we're talking about snowfall too, let's talk about the beauty of it, at least, with a photo sent in to us from some spots up in the Adirondacks. This is a snapshot in Racket Lake of some sunshine in the distance there, that faded sun there mixed in with some snowfall. This was sent in, cool name by the way, correct me if I pronounce this wrong, I believe it's pronounced Phaedra. And this is a great shot of the beautiful scenery in the wintertime. And I guess a lot of you who live up in the North Country, I mean, you guys are used to the snowfall, at least what the winters we used to have here. And I bet for a lot of businesses up north that rely on this for tourism, this has been a welcome sight compared to the last couple of years, barring last year, where there was barely any winter at all. This was brought to you by GPO Federal Credit Union. If you have a photo you'd like to share with us as well, send to WKTV.com/weather/pics. Gary?
Boy, what a beautiful area we live in, huh?
Yeah, we get all four seasons, Gary. How many areas can say that?
Yeah, gorgeous. Eric, thanks. Buffalo Bills fans.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are tracking some impactful lake effect that is causing some roadways to be slick in a lot of spots, especially west of Utica. We look at the radar and satellite right now. We have a multi-lake connection here. And something that the models were telling us yesterday that would not be as intense, but based off of what we were looking at and just our gut feelings yesterday, we were mentioning this would have some decent impacts on travel this morning, and sure enough, it is overperforming. There are some spots here reporting 7 inches of snow, and it's still coming down. So I think this is already an overperforming lake effect band. It is continuing to shift its way north. We're starting to see a much more defined band here, but nonetheless, it's still coming down at a pretty good rate in sections of the Mohawk Valley. So I showed you cameras from sections of the Mohawk Valley a few minutes ago. Here's a look at the thruway, which again, if you're heading towards Syracuse, they're not that bad. Plows are busy this morning, but on the way to the thruway, you might have some slowdowns. I mean, just look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 accidents reported here just in the last 15, 20 minutes or so. We have a breakdown or a car on the shoulder. That's basically what that icon indicates here. But either way, there are some very slick roads. Please just drive carefully, drive slowly. The roads are not that good condition-wise this morning in terms of the amounts of snow falling. It doesn't matter how often the plows go through. If the snowfall rates are coming down at a pretty good rate, those roads will still be very slick. So we see here that lake band is shifting north this morning throughout the afternoon. This becomes a pretty much non-factor for the Mohawk Valley by the at least early afternoon onwards. A few snow showers up in Old Forge for your evening, and then that snow band will sweep its way south again for, you guessed it, the morning commute tomorrow. So possibly a similar story regarding travel impacts, especially Utica and westbound early Thursday. Then an Arctic front rolls through, and we've got some very narrow but potentially intense snow bands from lake effect right here. And I think just south of the Mohawk Valley is where that heaviest snow will set up. So again, I keep showing you guys the model data coming in here, and I just want to show you this because I'm just kind of adding to it the fact that, say for example, right here, this dark blue zone, I think will be very narrow and extending through Syracuse in the hills of Madison County and Paris Hill, that area as well, with that intense snow following Thursday evening. So just an early heads up that we have some impactful snow over the next couple of days. Now, everyone's been bringing this up to us on social media. There's a winter storm, there's a nor'easter this weekend, right? Well, this is why we don't show some of this data this early. This is a look at the raw information from 2 separate global models here, and both of them have it missing this. Now, we never discount it entirely because some drastic changes could take place. But what I can tell you right now is it's pretty much a non-factor here heading into the weekend. In fact, we have some sunshine opportunities as well. We're in the teens, but at least the drawback there is it's still very cold. Wind chills will be in the negative double digits, same with the actual temperature itself. And then following the weekend, we got Monday, and Puxatawny Phil will be determining whether he sees a shadow or not, and whether we get 6 more weeks of winter. But I think regardless of what he sees, Gary, I think a lot of us might agree on what that answer might be.
I think we're probably in for one of the longest winters that I can remember since I was little.
Yeah,
back
so
in the
long.
day, before you were born. Eric, thanks. Oneida County is moving forward now, and Eric, some more snow this morning. At times, it was hard to see.
Yeah, and in a lot of spots, too, the roads were just slick, and it seemed that the snow just didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
And so far, at least the snow is stopping. We look at the radar scans right now, at least here locally. That snowfall is shifting to the north. We can see that snow band impacting the Tug Hill Plateau. It's going to be mainly impacting the Jefferson County, Watertown area today. before eventually it'll sweep south later tonight, but that's a later problem. For now, we finally have some much clearer roads. There were numerous accidents and cars off the road reported this morning during our News Channel 2 at Sunrise broadcast. Wind chill still relatively at least not rising at all. In fact, in some spots, it's actually cooling down here. 5-degree wind chill reported in Rome right now. And although the temperatures are still very cool, we still have that flood warning, which has been extended here, and we were looking at some of the newer information right now, and it appears that the stream is fluctuating. It has hit some of the banks there, so because of that, the warning has been extended. The area still remains the same. The area surrounding Newport along Route 28 in the West Canada Creek here, and that will again continue at least for the short term until signs point to the waters receding. And Gary, you have more on that, right?
That's right. That flood warning has been extended for another day. The water is moving a little.
Download the Storm Tracker 2 mobile app and put the power of Storm Tracker 2 in the palm of your hand. Watch the latest forecast, hour-by-hour conditions, the latest radar this winter. Be prepared. Download the Storm Tracker 2 mobile app today. The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon, everybody. After some impactful lake effect snow this morning, we're not done with it just yet, but at least we are for the short term today. We look at the radar and satellite, we can see that wind direction shift a little bit. It's going to move its way back down south again as we head into the overnight into early Thursday morning. We can actually zoom in here and see the influence of the Great Lakes. By the way, in terms of Great Lake ice coverage, I'll show our map here in a little bit, but just as an early heads up, Lake Erie starting to get a bit frozen over, but Lake Ontario, a very rare occurrence for it to freeze over. It's nowhere near frozen over right now because of how deep it is, but some of the Great Lakes, some of the Georgian Bay, starting to freeze over. It doesn't mean lake effect's over with. It means it gets less and less intense as the temperature difference between the air and the water gets, of course, a bit less of a difference. Nonetheless, so we look at the radar here, we have some light flurries starting to shift their way north, some heavier snowfall impacting the Tug Hill Plateau. Live looking Cooperstown right now. Roads much improved compared to earlier this morning. A great scene right here. Temperature of 13 degrees. So let's head straight to our Skycast. There's that snow band, which we mentioned yesterday would be overperforming, and it did by a lot in a lot of spots. 4 to 6 inches in some locations of fluff. Then that snow is moving north. Those of you in Old Forge around 6 or so o'clock this evening will see a round or two of snow showers, but that's going to wobble north a little bit and then shift south again early Thursday morning. This could cause some impacts travel-wise, especially those of you heading westbound towards Syracuse. Then that snow is going to be a bit more scattered in the afternoon. An Arctic front rolls through. The winds really pick up, and we're watching the potential for some stronger snowfall right here. Then, of course, following that, there will be some much colder wind chills. But I first just want to mention that this is something that the models aren't really hinting out upon, but there could be some very intense snow in that very narrow band before it eventually sweeps south and exits our area. But you can see here, Friday morning it's still very cold. Wind chills expected to climb into the teens below zero. So our overnight lows by early Friday morning, -20 to -30 in the Mohawk Valley, -30 to -40 again in the Adirondacks. Similar to what we saw on Saturday, just repeat that again as we head into early Friday morning. Now your 7-day forecast here, I want to show this before I get to our snowfall map. You can see here, the cold weather still sticks around. We've got some snowfall still lingering for the next couple of days. Friday a bit more dry compared to what's going to be taking place for today and tomorrow. But again, I want to show that snowfall map here. If you guys have an idea of what we're expecting, you can see here by tonight through Thursday nights, that very narrow band producing 4 to 8 inches of snow in that dark blue zone. a whole lot less in that shadow of the hills as you head eastward toward Albany. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The brutal winter weather continues to impact millions nationwide. So many people still without Mississippi, but it extends into many states, including Tennessee. And that's where NBC's George Solis is today with more from Nashville.
Conditions still frozen in frigid in Nashville, and the recovery has been slow with these persistently cold temperatures and a lot of tree debris just like this that's still frozen, littering sidewalks and roadways. One hospital even reporting treating 40 children for carbon monoxide poisoning as people struggle to stay warm. We have been inside numerous homes that have been without power. People have been finding creative ways to stay warm. We even talked to a gentleman who is experiencing homelessness, who says he doesn't really want to stay at a warming center, so he's been staying on Friend. This is what this community has done. They have been neighbors helping neighbors. You've also had troopers going door to door doing wellness checks. We actually saw one couple handing out hot chocolate in their neighborhood that has been without power for days now. Now, there have been some success stories as people are being slowly returned back to the power grid, but that recovery has been too slow for some residents who really say with day 4 of no power, it is just becoming a struggle. Adding to some frustration here, some customers have been saying they've been getting text alerts that their power has been restored when it really hasn't. And that's in part because all these linemen are doing repair work, restoring power poles. So that tells them their power is on when it really isn't. And that makes it very difficult for people that have been staying at all the hotels here who want to go back to their homes, check on their property, make sure no pipes have burst. And unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any relief in sight. Now, on the subject of the nation's airports, right now we're looking at delays and cancellations still under 1,000 or so. That number could creep up. It is still significantly better than what we've seen over the last several days, where they just start in the thousands for both delays and cancellations. So there is some cautious optimism that that may start to return to normal here in the next coming days. The other concern, of course, is with sunlight. Some of this ice will begin to melt, but of course, once the sun sets and these temperatures begin to dip, you can see a lot more refreezing. Just canvassing here, though, we are starting to see signs of more sidewalks and less ice, which again raises that optimism level here as people struggle and want to reopen their businesses, their stores, and just sort of return to a sense of normalcy, albeit these cold and frigid temperatures here in Nashville. It is still going to be a long road to recovery, and again, those issues with power continue. A lot of people just hopeful they can put all of this cold behind them sooner rather than later. Back to you.
NBC's George Solis reporting from Nashville. Coming up, the latest developments. Meteorologist Eric Gay joining us now. And Eric, if we continue like we are going right now, we could approach records. I don't remember a winter like this since I was real little.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Gary, we are about 0.3 inches away from setting our average winter.
Already?
Wow. We're at 95.2 inches to date right now. Our average winter is 95.5 inches. If you're wondering, well, how do we get that number? We have winters above and below. This is not a record setting in terms of the amount of snow we've seen so far, but we have a sheet here that we measure the amounts of snow we see pretty much all season long. And again, 55.8 inches is the normal we see at this point in time this year. So we're nearly 40 inches above average. By the end of January, usually we're at 58 inches. By the end of February, at 78 inches. So you can see here that we'd still be above average, even if it didn't snow for the rest of the season. So either way, we've got quite the rest of the season to deal with right now. Still, though, we've got some good news along the front in terms of some lake effect. Now, keep in mind, we mentioned some of the Great Lakes are freezing over. Mainly, it's Lake Erie and the Georgian Bay here off of Lake Huron. Lake Ontario is very deep. In fact, the last time it froze over was back in, the 1930s. So it's incredibly difficult for Lake Ontario to freeze over. So we're never out of the woods of lake effect throughout the season. But again, as the lakes do get colder, it's much more difficult for intense snow from lake effect to form late in the season. Yorkville Battery Live Radar showing much quieter weather right now compared to earlier this morning, which caused a lot of travel issues. We do have more chances for concerning travel impacts over the next day or so. We're going to dive into the timing of that with that lake effect snow, that latest forecast you're looking at this morning, and the temperature trend, we're talking bitter cold wind chills back to see what we saw on Saturday coming up later this week. We'll dive into that here in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Once again, Utica firefighters were called out to a...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Impactful lake effect snow early today has wound down. We are still tracking it, but it is mainly shifting north of our area. We look at the radar and satellite, a few things. So the downwind lake effect response here, we had a multi-lake setup which provided us with that impactful snow this morning. That is since, again, moving its way more to the north. So without that, it's starting to weaken. It's still hitting Watertown area in Jefferson County at a pretty good rate early this afternoon. The radar, of course, also drying up compared to earlier this morning. And although we first were telling you about this yesterday, that the models this morning would be underestimating the potential of the snowfall, we think it's going to happen again tomorrow morning with a similar setup. Live look at Cooperstown this afternoon. It's a crisp 14 degrees out there. Wind chills falling into the single digits, and we are going to see this temperature fall and a lot more of an impact as we head into Friday. But we'll show that here shortly. In the meantime, let's talk snowfall. So as we head into tonight, we've got that snow mainly staying north. Those of you in the evening up in Old Forge might see a few snow showers here. When we head into Thursday overnight, that snow band, as I mentioned, is going to wobble back south again, right into the thruway corridor. You guessed it, just in time for the morning commute, as if Mother Nature has something against us. But regardless, this might produce some impacts to the roadways like this morning. So just budget your travel accordingly early Thursday. That band will wobble with a few scattered snow showers, and Arctic front rolls through. And again, as I'm mentioning, the models here not really doing a good job with the formation of a very narrow but potentially intense lake effect band passing through Syracuse and in the hills of Madison County, south and west of Utica. The direction might shift a little bit, but either way, that's the zone that is we're closely monitoring here. Temperatures plummet quickly with those strong winds and that northwesterly flow early Friday morning. These are the temperatures on paper. It's minus 17 officially at Boonville, heading to minus 8 Little Falls, minus 7 Fultonville. You factor in those winds. I mean, you're looking at this here for Friday morning. Minus 22 Utica, minus 27 in Little Falls, and between minus 30 and minus 40 in the Adirondacks. So it's going to be a very cold start to your Friday, just like what we saw on Saturday this past weekend. Then, of course, another thing to mention too, the snowfall. We have been kind of looking at a lot of data sets this morning. So far, our general thoughts are this is going to be an overperforming area here, 4 to 8 inches in the blue zone. This might shift north or south, but just a heads up, if you live south and west of Utica, you are in the zone of potential higher end snowfall from this event here. And then lastly, just a heads up, we're keeping a close eye on that weekend storm. Everyone's been talking about it on social media. Everyone's been asking us about it, and so far it appears to be still a non-factor. Anything that changes, we'll let you guys know. But again, so far it's looking to be missing us entirely. In fact, it's going to be pretty quiet this weekend. Sunshine Saturday, Sunday, but still very cold with overnight lows in the negative double digits Friday night and Saturday night. Gary?
Eric, thanks. We are back with News Talk.
Just Bill Curtis. Snow on the way?
Snow on the way. The snow this morning. Whoa. Again?
Looks like we're doing this again tomorrow. We're tracking lake effect snow. It's going to be the same type, that fluffy kind that will make the roads slippery in the morning. The band is forming to the north, and it will follow a similar pattern, developing after midnight tonight and then dropping southward. The only difference is I think tomorrow a lot of this snow will happen during the day as opposed to today, with most of this happening in the morning. Current temperature 14 degrees. It's going to remain very cold here in central New York. This is a look at the snowfall forecast. We're expecting about 4 to 8 inches of accumulation south and west of Utica. Then this is for tonight, tomorrow through tomorrow night. 2 to 4 inches for Utica Rome. And then heading south, heading east, the accumulations drop off, getting farther away from Lake Ontario. Lake effect snow returns tonight. It's very cold Friday morning. In fact, wind chills Friday morning look to be brutal, looking like 20, 25, 30 below zero. We are also keeping you updated on that potential winter storm. I'll let you know if anything has changed since we talked about it earlier this week. Temperatures in the single digits this evening. Again, snow breaks out tonight. We're tracking that band of lake effect snow along with when we get a break from all of this. That's coming up. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Students at Jarvis Middle.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. Cold weather is going to be sticking around, and we're tracking additional lake effect snow tonight and tomorrow. A live look at downtown Utica. Travel this evening is looking pretty quiet. The weather is looking dry, and that's going to be the case for the rest of this evening. This lake effect snow doesn't really get going until after midnight, but it's cold. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. As expected, today's lake effect that was around this morning has lifted to the north and is producing some locally heavy snow near Watertown. This band will drop southward as the winds change direction. We've got a cold front, yes, I know, another one that will be moving through the region tomorrow is going to shift this band southward. It's also going to give us a reinforcing shot of cold weather. In fact, take a look at the wind chills. Air temperatures tomorrow in the teens. The wind chills will be in the single digits. Tomorrow night into Friday morning, that's when things bottom out. The air temperature will be about 10 below zero, but we have wind, and so therefore we have a wind chill, and it ranges between about 15 to 35 below zero. Give yourself breaks Friday morning. Make sure you layer up, and you are not outside for too long because, again, it's going to be pretty nasty here Friday morning. This does look to be the bottoming out, the coldest stretch of this very, very cold week. The one positive about this cold weather is that we do get some breaks of sunshine, and we've had a sunnier stretch than we typically do for this time of the year. We don't get much of it, but we get a lot more than what we typically do. Temperatures will be in the teens tomorrow, wind chills in the single digits, a continuation of the cold weather. But the winds will be kicking up again tomorrow night. The next cold front will be dropping in, and this is again going to change the wind direction, and it brings lake effect snow. This is the accumulations for tonight, tomorrow, and into tomorrow evening. For most of us, it's a fluffy 2 to 4 inches of accumulation. There's going to be another band of more intense snowfall. We think it's going to be in Madison County and southern Oneida County. That could produce 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. Again, like this morning, it's very, very fluffy. It'll be prone to blowing around with even just a light wind, and it also has poor visibility with it. Looking at when the band drops south, again, I think this is going to be after midnight, so the morning commute looks snowy. This is 8 a.m., and again, keep in mind what Skycast is showing will probably be more intense than this. We're expecting that snow to continue into Thursday afternoon. I think it does drop south of the Mohawk Valley before jogging back to the north in the evening. Cold weather is going to continue, again, falling below zero tomorrow night. The weekend storm still looks to be a miss for central New York, although coastal New England needs to be watching this. It looks like some snow for Boston and Cape Cod, but again, that storm is too far to the east at this point. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. Again, for central New York snowfall, that is. Snow showers tonight down to zero. Lake effect snow tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the teens. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. We'll get a chance to dry out over the weekend. It remains cold here for the next 7 days, although we get into the 20s next week. So this really cold weather starts to loosen its grip. Be interesting to see what the groundhog says on Monday. I feel like he's going to get booed no matter what he says.
It is a good point. Thanks, Bill. Air traffic after hundreds of flights were canceled because of the weather.
Yeah, the brutal winter impacting millions nationwide, not just us. George Solis reports.
A large section of the country dealing with snow and frigid temperatures, with freeze warnings extending as far south as the Gulf Coast and Florida overnight. While tens of millions remain under cold weather alerts in parts of Texas, the Ohio Valley, and mid-Atlantic. In Louisiana, icy conditions stranding hundreds of drivers on Interstate 20. Semi-trucks stretching for miles stuck on roads slick with ice. Last weekend's monster storm and subsequent cold weather proving deadly, with at least 48 weather-related deaths nationwide. New York City loosening its shelter intake procedures to make sure anyone who needs a warm place to stay gets one.
At least 10 New Yorkers have tragically lost their lives after being found outdoors.
And the mess at the nation's airports not letting up, with nearly 6,000 flight delays nationwide Tuesday and cancellations topping 2,500. While in Tennessee, more than 100,000 customers are still without power.
You be careful. Be safe.
State troopers there going door to door to make sure folks without heat are safe. Based on your assessment, which area of the state has been hit the hardest?
Middle Tennessee has been hit extremely hard. Really, the whole state in general has been hit just catastrophically.
In Nashville, one couple doing their own door to door, armed with cups of hot coffee for their neighbors. For others, it's a great excuse to spend quality time together.
Yeah, you can either play or you have to draw one.
This family bundling up in their own home without heat, but making the best of an unprecedented winter event.
You know, it's nice to unplug for a little bit. We're not miserable, we're just uncomfortable.
Okay, coming up, monitoring the
Homeless Coalition will be out counting the homeless for a census. Local homelessness has increased from about 143 people in 2021 to 414 in 2025, making this year's point-in-time count especially urgent. Outreach teams will work overnight tonight into tomorrow in Oneida and Madison counties, both on the street and at shelters, including the warming center at the Oneida County office building.
Staying on the story, a flood warning remains in effect along the West Canada Creek. Here's some new video from today. This was supposed to expire at noon today, but the National Weather Service extended it until tomorrow. Some basements in homes along Route 28 between Newport and Middleville have flooded. This is due to ice jams. The state is monitoring the situation, as is Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Yeah, continuing to track cold weather, so that will be a concern here as we move forward. We're also keeping track of the snowfall for the city of Utica. We have now surpassed 95 inches, 95.2 inches to date. We are now looking at totals that are almost 40 inches above average for today's date. And we've got plenty of winter to go. This is our average for the whole year, by the way. If we didn't see another flake of snow from now until the very end, this would be what we would consider average. But of course, we're going to be above average just based on how things are going. We shouldn't have a problem getting to at least 100 inches, probably before the first week of February is done, if not sooner. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We're tracking lake effect snow that will be developing tonight. And this will be around the Mohawk Valley tomorrow. Temperatures will remain very cold. Air temperatures in the teens, overnight lows below zero. The coldest stretch looks to be Friday morning. We have wind Friday morning, so the wind chill could be as low as 30 below zero. All signs do point to less intense cold air as we head into early next week. So there is some relief in sight. Now, if you are taking the dog for a walk this evening, make it a short one. Temperatures will be in the teens. Tonight's featured dog is Winnie from Ilion. If you wanted to be part of this, head to Skycast WKTV on Facebook. This is brought to you by Nissan. Kristen, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Love is definitely in the air at the Utica Zoo. Another baby born, a male white-handed gibbon. Look at that face. The birth is huge news considering the species is endangered. Mom Snowflake is 38 years old, making her one of the oldest white-handed gibbons to give birth. There is a baby shower being planned for spring, and the zoo is looking for sponsors to name the baby.
And while you're at the zoo visiting the baby, don't forget about the snowshoe rentals. When there's snow, it's a very popular attraction. It started back in 2011 with grants from Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield, and sizes range from toddler to adult. The snowshoe trail starts at the zebras.
You go through the cut trails that we prepare, and you're able to see some of the other sides of the exhibits, such as the wolves, and you come up on the lynx, our Pallas cat Tate. You can actually snowshoe all the way down to the lioness habitat, and then there's a bench for you to take your snowshoes off.
The cost is $4 per hour to rent snowshoes, but if there's no wait, you can go longer. And if you have your own snowshoes, you don't even have to pay to borrow.
National Daisy Day is today.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're tracking continued cold along with lake effect snow showers heading into tonight. Let's take a live look in Oneida. Temperature of 12 degrees. The snow will be developing as we head into this evening and tonight. Right now, the snow is located towards Watertown, and it will stay to the north for the next several hours. The winds will change direction, and this will bring this band southward, bringing widespread snow to central New York. The timing looks a little bit different than what we saw earlier today. I think the snow drops in later, so it would be late morning with the highest impacts. But again, it does look to impact the morning commute with fluffy snowfall and some slippery roads. Snow showers continue into the afternoon and evening. The weather remains very cold. Temperatures will be in the teens tomorrow, but the winds are going to be picking up. What causes the lake effect snow to drop southward is a reinforcing shot of cold air, and that cold air settles in tomorrow night. The winds pick up, and the wind chills go between about 25 to 30 below zero. So it gets really, really cold. We're going to do this again like we saw the previous weekend, not last weekend, but the one before. And again, it's just nice and warm heading out the door. The good news is that this looks to be the coldest stretch, so going forward, it doesn't look as intense heading into the weekend. Skywatchers checking in. Snowfall reports from earlier today. Clinton 6 inches, White's, New Hartford 5 inches, Cassville 4 inches, Barneveld 11 degrees. Temperatures across the Mohawk Valley, Ilion 16 degrees, Paynes Hollow 13, Cooperstown 13, Edmonston with 15. We are tracking lake effect snow showers again as a secondary cold front drops in from the north. This does produce a fluffy 2 to 4 inches of snowfall for Utica, Rome, down the Mohawk Valley. South and west of Utica, this narrow band is expected to produce locally higher totals between 4 to 8 inches of accumulation than east of Little Falls. And also north of Utica, there'll be a little bit of a shadow here this time around with a trace to 2 inches of accumulation. Again, this band drops southward heading into tonight. Temperatures remain cold, will be in the single digits to near zero. Scattered lake effect snow showers tomorrow. Temperatures remain in the teens. The steadiest snow tomorrow will drift south of Utica. And then the snow will gradually subside tomorrow night as the weather continues to cool off. Will be below zero, and it looks frigid Friday with temperatures in the low teens. We're watching that weekend storm, and the snowfall forecast looks like the coast will be getting accumulation. This is mainly a Cape Cod storm if it doesn't change, and potentially a heavy snowfall for Nova Scotia. But again, look at where we are. The heavy snow is far away from us. We'll continue to watch this in case anything changes, but at this point, the weekend storm continues to be a miss for central New York. Snow showers tonight, low temperature of 0. Lake effect snow showers tomorrow, temperatures in the teens. Cold weather continues Friday, a high of only 11. The weather over the weekend dries out. Some sunshine is expected Saturday and Sunday. The weather does warm up next week. We're looking at highs in the 20s with snow showers Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be right back.
In effect along the West Canada Creek. Here's some new video from today. This warning was supposed to expire today, but the National Weather Service extended it until tomorrow. Some basements in homes along Route 28 between Newport and Middleville have flooded because of ice jams. The state is monitoring the situation.
Time now for a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
We've got plenty of cold and additional snow ahead. In fact, tomorrow morning, I think we're going to have some lake effect snow to contend with again. Some places picked up a fluffy 3 to as much as 6 inches of accumulation across Oneida County. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Things look quiet for now, but there's a band of snow to the north that will be dropping southward. A lot of this will arrive after midnight. Current temperature 9 degrees. We're going to drop quickly. I think we'll be close to 0 before midnight. It feels like 2 below 0 with the wind. We've got some colder air expected. In fact, I think the coldest air will be Friday. But before that gets here, again, tracking lake effect snow and accumulation expected tonight and tomorrow, especially south and west of Utica, where we could see some locally higher totals as much as 4 to 8 inches of accumulation. Snow returns tonight. Very cold weather. The coldest so far this week looks to be Friday morning with wind chills between 20 to 30 below 0. We're also keeping an eye on the weekend storm. I got the latest update on that. Temperatures will be dropping quickly. We'll be in the single digits to near 0 this evening. Again, tracking that band of lake effect snow tomorrow. Look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Decision 2026.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Cold weather continues here in central New York. There's going to be a push of even colder weather tomorrow, and it looks like the wind chills are going to bottom out Friday morning. But there is an end to this, at least in terms of the intensity of it. Live look in downtown Utica. We get a break from the snow this evening. If you're heading out and about, the roads are in much better shape compared to yesterday evening and certainly this morning. Lake effect snow will stay to the north over the next several hours. It's in Watertown now, and as the wind direction changes, the band will drop southward and impact the Mohawk Valley tomorrow. It looks like it'll start tomorrow morning and then linger into the afternoon and evening. Again, this is all due to a change in the wind direction. Again, road conditions are better. There's still a few slushy, slippery spots here and there, but a lot better than what we saw earlier. And again, travel impacts tonight. Again, snow showers will start to pick up mainly after midnight and into tomorrow morning. The morning and afternoon, again, tracking some lake effect snow and a fluffy inch or two of accumulation. Utica is now up to 95.2 inches of snow. We are running a surplus close to 40 inches. In fact, the season total, the average, is 95.5 inches. So we're very close to that already, and it's not even February. The cold weather moves in, the winds pick up, our wind chill gets to about 20 to 30 below zero Friday morning. The air temperature will be about 10 below, but there's going to be a wind that's going to be biting, if not brutal at times. So dress in layers, be very careful Friday morning, limit your time outdoors, at least early in the day. It gets a little bit better in the afternoon, but it's just a cold stretch of weather here heading into the weekend. Skywatchers checking in, a fluffy 4, 5, 6 inches of snow earlier this morning. Clinton, New Hartford, Cassville, temperatures in the teens and single digits across Herkimer County, 19 degrees in Skenevis, Westford, Dave with 14. Again, a secondary cold front drops in and it does produce some snow accumulation. Again, tomorrow, late tonight, tomorrow, we're expecting 2 to 4 inches of accumulation. Utica, Rome, 4 to 8 inches of snowfall in Madison and southern Oneida County, where that band is expected to be steadier and locally heavier. And again, it does drop southward tonight. Temperatures will start out in the single digits tomorrow. Snow showers across the Mohawk Valley for the morning into the early afternoon. The band drops southward and then generally weakens tomorrow night as the cold weather settles in. Looking ahead to that weekend storm, it looks like the heaviest snow is going to fall along coastal New England. In fact, this could be a big snowfall for Nova Scotia, but again, notice how far away this is from Utica. Things could still change, but at this point, everything we've been seeing has kept that storm far away from central New York. Snow showers tonight down to 0. Tomorrow, snow showers continue, temperatures in the teens. The cold weather starts to slowly lose its grip heading into next week. We're dry, we're sunny over the weekend, temperatures in the teens. Groundhog Day Monday, temperatures in the 20s Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6.
With Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get to those stories. Before we do that, though, I want to start off with Chief Meteorologist Bill Kardis. He's tracking a very narrow lake effect band of snow. Is it starting to develop, or is that overnight hours?
Well, here's where it is now. This is up towards Watertown, Adams, getting some heavy snow off of Lake Ontario. The winds are changing direction. You can always tell just based on how this, see how this kind of like curves?
Yes.
What's happening is you have a southwest wind here, you have a west wind here, and so this eventually is going to change and this band's going to drop south. So we can kind of get a sense of where these things are going just by looking at these images. And again, tonight it's heading south. Most of tonight it's going to stay north. It's not until later tonight and into very early tomorrow that band drops south and it affects our morning commute. It's cold out there tonight. Temperature of 2. We've had clear skies over the past couple of hours. That's really helped temperatures free fall. I think this is about as cold as we get tonight. We're pretty close to it because we do have clouds on the way. So what we're tracking, snow showers tonight, some slippery spots for the morning commute. The cold weather is going to linger around, and it gets even colder Friday morning. We're going to look at some of the wind chills. I also have an update on the weekend. We do have a storm that's been talked about for several days. I'll give you an idea if this has any chance of affecting our weather. Snow showers tonight, the goose egg down to 0. Tracking even colder weather in our future. Look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Gordon Woody Mauer.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Kardis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica. It's a pretty quiet night. It's cold. Temperatures have dropped close to zero. It's going to stay about this cold for the rest of the night. We're going to be keeping an eye on the radar. We're tracking some lake effect snow that's to the north, and it's impacting Watertown. The wind direction's changing tonight. This band is dropping south. You can see how this is moving over the past hour. I'm expecting this band to gradually drop south and impact central New York throughout the course of tonight and into tomorrow. The travel impacts will be most in the late morning to early afternoon. I think it's similar to what we dealt with this morning, where in pockets there will be some slippery roads, but it's not going to be everywhere. And it's going to be mainly west of Utica where we'll see the highest impacts. The evening commute looks okay. Things start to wind down. Looking at the season snowfall total, we've collected 95.2 inches since the season began in early November in the city of Utica. This is way above average. For today's date, we typically get 55 inches. We're running more than 3 feet above average. An interesting note, we've had a lot of people ask us, how does this compare to last year at this time? Last year at this time, we only had 50 inches of snow for today's date. It was much snowier in February. We ended up getting over 103 inches of snow for the season. Of course, remember last year we had some of those epic lake effect snows to the north. A few of them happened in January, but several of them happened in February. I don't see it playing out exactly the same way because the lakes are so much colder now compared to this time last year, and it's because of the cold weather. Look at the wind chills. We're going to be in the single digits to below zero throughout the day tomorrow, and tomorrow night the cold air just drains in from the north, and we bottom out. Wind chills Friday morning, 20, 25, 30 below zero, perhaps even 35 below zero across the North Country. So you want to dress in layers and take lots of breaks here Friday morning because, again, it's going to be pretty cold. It does get a little bit better later in the day. We're also tracking lake effect snow that drops in, and we're expecting a general 2 to 4 inches of accumulation here tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night. Perhaps 4 to 8 inches closer to Lake Ontario. And also, the heaviest band looks to be just south and west of Utica in Madison County. Again, localized higher totals, and it's that very fluffy snow that, again, we saw last night. That band develops and drops in tomorrow morning. Looking at tricky travel, temperatures start out in the teens. Snow showers continue into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. The lake effect snow does come to an end as we head into tomorrow night. We're also watching the weekend. Lots and lots of chatter about a storm across the Atlantic. Just wanted to show you the forecast snowfall. Notice it's pretty much entirely the coast that gets it, and that could change, but at this point, I wouldn't worry too much about it here for central New York. 0 tonight, snow showers, 17 for the high tomorrow. It's frigid through the weekend. Temperatures are back into the 20s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We'll be right back.
With Jason Pallas.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get to those stories in a minute, though. I want to start with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. He's tracking a very narrow lake-effect band of snow that's starting to develop out towards Watertown and coming our way.
Yeah, this is going to be dropping in tonight. We can already see the wind shift. You can see how this curls.
Yep.
The winds are southwest here to the west over here, and this is all going to change. Our winds are going to become more westerly, so
and that
south.
band's going to be very particular, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very narrow, and as with all lake effects, some places get hit hard, other places don't. And again, this is what we're going to be dealing with heading into tomorrow. It is cold out there. We're 0 degrees, which is as cold as I think we'll get for the rest of tonight with clouds on the way. I guess the good news is winds are calm, so there's no wind chill tonight, at least for now. Lake effect snow showers will be dropping in. The cold weather lingers around. Friday morning in particular looks very, very cold. Wind chills will be 20, 30 below zero. Also have an update on the weekend storm, where that's headed. Snow showers tonight. Again, I think temperatures hold steady here, close to or just below zero tonight. Again, we've got even colder weather in store for Friday. I've got to look at that along with the snowfall forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Gordon Woody Maurer will be back in an Otsego County.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look at downtown Utica. It's cold out there tonight. Temperatures are close to 0 degrees. We're tracking some lake effect clouds and lake effect snow, which will be dropping in from the north tonight. We can see the band already starting to shift south. There is a change in the wind direction due to a push of colder weather. And that's going to be arriving tomorrow. When it does have an impact in the morning and afternoon commute, some scattered snow showers out there. A few slippery spots are possible, especially west of Utica. 95.2 inches of snow to date in the city of Utica. We are running a departure above average of almost 40 inches. Last year at this time, we had 50 inches of snow. I know it's hard to believe. A lot of the heavy snow last year came in February. And again, that was the snowiest month of last year. So we'll see how things play out going forward. It looks like we're going to be stuck in this cold and generally snowy weather pattern. Speaking of the cold, we are talking about wind chill temperatures Friday morning, 20, 25, 30 below zero. It is going to be very, very cold Friday morning. Keep your pets indoors, dress in layers, give yourself breaks if you do have to spend time outdoors. It gets less intense in terms of cold weather Friday afternoon, but it still stays cold through the weekend. Overnight lows over the next several nights will be well below zero. We're tracking a push of cold air working in from the north. Again, that's going to drag the lake effect southward, and we do expect widespread snowfall, a fluffy 2 to 4 inches of accumulation beginning late tonight, continuing into Thursday. South and west of Utica, we expect a narrower band of heavier snow that could produce as much as 4 to 8 inches of accumulation, lesser amounts as you head east. Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, that band of snow drops southward tonight, and it's here tomorrow morning. Temperatures start out in the single digits to low teens. Lake effect snow showers continue primarily south and west of Utica tomorrow afternoon. It looks cold. Overnight lows tomorrow night, again, drop below zero. Air temperatures 5 to 15 below zero. Again, the wind chill will be 20 to 30 below zero. Watching that weekend storm, everything says that this makes snow on the very fringe of the East Coast. We're talking about Cape Cod, eastern Maine, Nova Scotia. If there's any sort of wiggle here, if it ends up going west at the last minute, maybe the lightest snow makes it as far west as Albany. But at this point, I'm just not seeing it. I think it's staying mainly out to sea. And if anything changes, we'll let you know. Snow showers tonight down at 0. Tomorrow, snow showers 17. Better chance for sunshine over the weekend. Temperatures remain in the teens. It remains cold, but it will feel less cold next week. Groundhog Day Monday, who cares? No, I'm just kidding. Temperatures in the mid-20s.
Everybody in Punxsutawney, that's who cares.
Well, I mean, around here, it's just like, it needs to be later in the season for any chance of an early spring.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's just rinse and repeat for a little while until next week when it warms up a little bit. All right, thank you, Bill. We'll send it down.